Hey there. Welcome to the first episode of Wildin Out with Wild Dog. I want to take a look at the Wild Dog miniseries from 1987 that was published by DC Comics. This is a book that I've never read before. I don't know that much about the character. I know he was in the Arrow show a few years ago, that was on the CW. But I haven't read a lot of this character, and so this is kind of almost like a blind spot for me with DC Comics. And I found this a while back for a decent price, so I picked up the miniseries. So I thought I would go through them here and kind of take a look at them. We'll start with the first issue here. So right off the bat, we've got Wild Dog. We have This Is Wild Dog as sort of the header here. We've got this nice cover, just real basic kind of look at the character here. So for me, I've always kind of felt like Wild Dog is, DC's Punisher, so to speak. So we kind of, just get this, basic kind of look at the character here. Now, as far as I can tell, I don't think the reader is supposed to know who Wild Dog is yet in this first issue. His identity is kind of a mystery here, and I do kind of like how you kind of see his eye peeking through the logo here. I thought that was a really nice touch. And again, this cover is by Terry Beatty and Dick Giordano, who do the art for this. So again, just, kind of a stark black background. We've got, this character that, this is the 80s, so this is, the hockey mask is kind of synonymous with Jason, from the Friday the 13th movie series, and they do make reference to that in this book though too, and we see him here holding the ubiquitous 80s Uzi here. I thought we'd take a look at this issue. Old school M&M's ad from back in the day we saw a lot. So our creative team here is Max Allan Collins, Terry Beatty, and Dick Giordano. Now, I've read some Max Allan Collins stuff before. He did a lot of work on Dick Tracy and Batman, and those are characters I like, but I've never been a real big fan of his writing, and I don't know what it is. It's just something with his work doesn't click with me, and I can't really explain it. I know people that like his writing. I like the characters he works on and stuff, but it's just not there for me, and I don't know why. I can't really explain it. Maybe this will be different because it's, basically an original character for him. So we'll see. We open here with this shot that I'm assuming, this... I feel like this was a photo, that was, probably drawn on top of... Again, this would be before, sort of Photoshop and computer graphics. This would have been something, like a photo reference that they probably had and probably went in and drew on top of physically, or piecemeal kind of collage together. I'm not sure. That's kind of my guess. But we have our title here, Who is Wild Dog? Chapter 1, We Interrupt This Program. So again, kind of already giving sort of news broadcast vibes, and that's kind of what we go into here. We see a local reporter doing a live remote from this River City Center. And again, we've got, the sort of TV monitor screen here, something that was very popular back then. And again, this is, pretty close after The Dark Knight Returns, which featured a lot of that kind of technique for getting exposition out during the story. Something that was popularized a lot, during that. And we would see kind of continue on in comics for years. Todd McFarlane did a lot of that in the early days of Spawn. Using, sort of TV reporters to get exposition out of the way. So then, we've got this local news reporter that's not real happy about this sort of story she's being given. So she's interviewing this local guy here, and he's talking about his committee that's dedicated to... improving society by, he specifically says level the existing institutions, and he decides to demonstrate that by blowing up the center that they're there to promote. The people back in the booth are freaking out. This guy pulls a gun on the reporter and takes her hostage, and now we see his sort of cohorts here in masks. So they are like a domestic terror organization here, and they're taking her hostage and making them keep the live feed going so they can kind of get their message out there. Got the old prizes or cash ad from back in the day where you could sell stuff. Yeah, so now everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. We're kind of seeing some different people from around town, and these different guys, are all kind of hearing about the hostage situation, what's going on. I think this is also setting up like, hey, maybe one of these guys might be Wild Dog, who we're about to be introduced to. So yeah, so then we have like local police on the scene trying to figure out what to do. They don't want to send in the SWAT team yet. They don't really have anybody on hand that can handle this. And as this discussion is going on, we start to see kind of Wild Dog gearing up, and then we see this pickup truck kind of running towards the scene. And it gets there and it breaks through this barricade. It crashes through the doors of this mall center here, and starts mowing down guys. When he gets in, he starts shooting from the truck as they're sort of starting to descend on him here. Yeah, so again, the police are like, who's this lunatic? Is he another terrorist? But, he's kind of doing the SWAT team's job here, even though he's, apparently independent from the police. And, as the report's going on live, they're hearing gunfire. They know something's up. They think it might be the police storming them, but it's just Wild Dog here coming in. And then we have some more action scenes here of him taking down these guys and kind of working his way towards the hostage. And then the leader of this group wants them to film Wild Dog, saying it's police state tactics that are being used against them. And the reporter is like, yeah, I don't think this is the police. And then he uses a crossbow here to kind of set up like a zip line to the stage where they're at. And he kicks the gun. Now, so you think he's going to shoot the guy holding the reporter, but he kicks the gun out of his hand, and he kicks him, and it does look like he breaks his neck with that kick. Because then we see him slump down here on the next page with his head twisted around. So apparently Wild Dog kicked this guy so hard it broke his neck. And yeah, so the reporter asks here, are you the police, or is this a publicity stunt for the next Friday the 13th? Again, kind of referencing the hockey mask, which was, basically synonymous with Jason at this point, and, still is today, really. And then the police try to arrest him, and so Wild Dog actually takes the reporter hostage himself now to make his getaway in the truck. And, the police say to shoot him, and here we get this line, shoot him down like a wild dog in the street. So I'm assuming that's where the name is going to come from for the character. And then he drives out of town here, out by a farm, and leaves her there. And, we have the reporter here saying, I'll promise you, you're my ticket out of this unglamorous burg. She sees the story she's been waiting for here to kind of make her career. So yeah, that's the first issue here of Wild Dog. Again, I like it so far. It's kind of an introductory issue. We don't know who the main character is yet. But yeah, I mean, so far, we don't know what his motivation is necessarily. But yeah, I still get Punisher vibes off of this. I feel like there's a couple characters you could say are DC's Punisher. I think, maybe Hitman is another character that kind of fills that role. Yeah, I would say this is definitely an early, example of that. I like the story so far. We'll be back and, take a look at the next issue and see where we're going. Again, I don't really know who Wild Dog is yet. We don't really have enough info to go off, I think, to try to figure out who this character really is. I think it's a good first issue, and yeah, we'll see where it goes from here. Have you read Wild Dog? Let me know. I'm going to take a look at the other. This is a 4-issue series, so I'm going to take a look at the rest of them here, and we'll go from there. I believe this is on the DC Universe Infinite app, if you want to play along at home. But yeah, have you read Wild Dog? Let me know in the comments below, and come back for issue number 2. And thanks for watching. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter/X at Detective651, also on Instagram at Detective651. Be sure to check out my t-shirt store at tpublic.com/user/Detective651. I've got a lot of nerdy designs on there, and there's sales all the time, so check it out frequently.